On top of all the horror, there was a deluge such as the planet had not known for eons. In fact, the volcanoes spat so many ashes into the sky simultaneously and to such incredible altitudes that the sky darkened. The vapor from the oceans, which in places actually boiled over an area of thousands of square kilometers, combined with the clouds of ashes. The thick clouds thus created burst with rain so torrential you'd find it hard to imagine. And the vessels orbiting in space. After 12 weeks, they were obliged to return to Earth. They chose to descend over the area we now know as Europe, having absolutely no visibility over the rest of the planet. Of the 7 vessels, only one managed to land. The others were hurled into the ground by gales, which occurred all over the planet, cyclonic winds of 300 to 400 kilometers per hour. The main cause of these winds was differences in temperature, these in turn caused by the sudden volcanic eruptions. So, the sole remaining spaceship managed to land in what is now called Greenland. There were 95 yellow passengers on board, many of whom were doctors and experts of various kinds. Having landed in extremely adverse conditions, damage was incurred which made it impossible for the vessel to take off again. However, it remained useful for a shelter. They had provisions enough to last a long time, and so they organized themselves as best they could. About 1 month later, they were all engulfed in an earthquake, the spacecraft too, and it was with this last catastrophe that all trace of civilization on Earth was destroyed. The chain of catastrophes that followed the collision with the asteroid had dispersed entire populations in New Guinea, Burma and China, and in Africa, although the region of the Sahara suffered to a lesser extent than elsewhere. However, all the towns established in the Red Sea area were engulfed by the newly formed sea. In brief, no city remained on Earth, and millions of people and animals had been wiped out. It was, therefore, not long before widespread famine occurred. Needless to say, the wonderful cultures of Australia and China were no more than memories that would become legends. And so it was that the people, suddenly disseminated and separated from each other by newly gouged chasms and newly formed seas, experienced for the first time on the planet Earth, cannibalism.